How's it going, guys? Welcome to the beautiful Atherton Forest Mountain Bike Park. It is a beautiful day in the park today, so I thought why not do this video mid-ride. Now, as a lot of you probably already know, this is a place that I spend an awful lot of time these days. And this weekend, it was the site of my very first race. And that was the ELEV8 8-hour cross-country marathon. Now, being that it was a race, and it was my first race at that, things were pretty chaotic. It was a little bit hectic and there was a lot to take in. So I didn't get as much footage as I would have hoped to get. But I did the best I could and I managed to get a little bit of video on the day. And I figured why not do a little bit of commentary over it and let you guys know how it went. Race day began with an early start, as I pursued the main priority of the morning. And then gave the bike a quick once-over. A few days earlier, I'd added a new chain and cassette to give myself a nice fresh drivetrain for the event. And as I rode the rail trail across town, I never could have predicted the issues that I would face with it. Cars lined the road outside the Atherton Gun Club, which would be the event HQ.
Chuck! Morning, mate. How's it going?
Hey mate, how are you? Find a park, reverse in, make it nice and neat. Thank you.
Where am I crew at?
I've got no idea. You will be, because you're a sponsor, you'll be top lane.
Well, like over there, somewhere near Prince?
Head towards Prince.
Yeah.
You'll be on the same size as him.
Sick.
I saw Matty yesterday setting up, so all good.
Sweet, cheers man.
Have a good day, man.
Thank you. Hey, how's it going, man? Good.
The pits, or the area where all the riders set up, was a hive of activity, as people went about erecting gazebos and getting their bikes dialed. And speaking of bikes getting dialed, on my last training ride 3 days earlier, I'd managed to break a spoke without any spares to replace it. I'd been scrambling to try and get it replaced before the event without any luck, but thankfully I was able to get Stuart from Prince Cyclery, the event's mechanical support, to quickly pop one in. The event can be ridden solo or as part of a team. I'd be riding for the brewery I work at as part of the Billy Cart Brewing Company Hop Rockets. My teammates, Travis, Georgia, and Marijke, turned up one by one, and before long, it was time for the race briefing.
If overtaking other riders, do so safely and be considerate. Let riders know clearly you are passing and on what side. There are many passing opportunities on the course, riders being overtaken. Listen for fast.
After the briefing, we had precious little time to make any last-minute preparations before the race start. The ELEV8XCM features a Le Mans style start. Riders line up and at the blow of the whistle must run to their bikes and scramble to get mounted up and onto the course. In a flurry of intense activity, the riders zigzagged through the pits area before hitting the road and sprinting to the mountain bike park trailhead and beginning their lap of the park. And now we waited. We'd nominated Travis to go first and would alternate male, female, male, female. So next up would be Georgia, I would go third, and Marijke would be last. So while we wait, why don't we take a look at the course? Each lap begins by making your way through the chicane that weaves through the pits and onto the aptly named Rifle Range Road, where you'll make an approximately 700-metre sprint to the mountain bike park. Once in the park, the course follows the outer circumference of the green trails, skirting around the valley at the foot of Mount Baldy. You'll ride trails 1, 4, 18, a small section of 3, and will finish with trail 15 before heading back to the gun club via a rough gravel road at the rear. The course totals about 11.8 kilometers, with 10.4 of that being mountain bike trails. The trails are generally quite easy in terms of technicality, but the average lap time for the day seemed to be around 45 minutes, which is a pretty long time to be on full gas. Travis put in a blisteringly fast lap and was back in 38 minutes, which caught Georgia completely off guard and made for a pretty clumsy but hilarious passing of the baton.
This one, there's nothing in it but water.
Perfect.
Through your knee.
Well done. Oh, awesome. Good out there?
Yeah, it's great. Really good. Really good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, Georgia.
Yeah.
Go, girl.
So what's it like out there?
It's pretty good. Like, it's wet in some sections. There's one or two areas where there's that slippery washout on the climb out of the wood bridge on the creek. There's one corner that gets really greasy.
The little wooden bridge on track 4.
Maybe 4.
There's like a connector that comes down beside it.
Yeah, and that's where you come down from 10. Yes, I know what you mean.
But otherwise, no, the track's actually pretty good. There's a bit of mud and puddles and stuff around, but they're never anywhere where it's not anywhere where you're in strife.
Yeah, just the usual spots like the very start and New Tooth.
Yeah, a few others through because the amount of traffic already.
Yeah.
Well, it's found some of those holes open. Good.
Sick. Good work.
Yeah.
And 45 minutes later, it was my turn.
Yeah. Oh. How you rate it?
10 out of 10.
And the first challenge was simply to make it through the pits and the swamp that had developed from the constant traffic. Ugh. The lap of the park begins, as you would expect, with Trail 1. It's pretty flat, and in the dry, the trail surface is grippy and amazing to ride. But on a wet day like today, the water tends to gather in the corners and make things very slippy. I had a little bit of trouble with another rider who didn't want to pull over to let me pass, but eventually I got past her and made for Trail 4. The start of Trail 4 is much rockier, and the surface isn't as fast as Trail 1, but it's only a short stretch before the course joins Trail 18.
Sure. Thanks, mate.
No worries.
Have a good one.
Trail 18 is the muddiest section. It starts with the nastiest climb of the course before meandering down through a couple of creek crossings and then eventually linking back up to Trail 4 again. The return to Trail 4 begins with a climb up to the furthest point in the course. At which point, it's time to ride the newly reworked overpass section. I was a little bit apprehensive of this section, as I didn't know how well the fresh trail works would hold up to the rain. The course had been very muddy so far, so I decided to take this section easy and use it as an opportunity to catch my breath. It turned out that I needn't have worried, and I could hit that section much faster on the second lap. And after a relatively short cross-country section, it's time for Luna Park, a popular section of Flow Trail.
Thank you. All right.
After feeling out the conditions at Luna Park, it's on to Trail 3 and then Trail 1 for some pretty standard cross-country riding. The exception to this is another freshly reworked section called Dino's Drag Strip. This section has had much more time to settle than the overpass and has an amazing surface that runs super fast.
Oh God. Hey!
Another short climb, and then it's the final run down track 15 and back to the trailhead. On the way back to the gun club, my GoPro battery died. Pretty unfortunate, but there's not too much going on at this point anyway.
Yeah, boy! Woo!
Yeah, buddy!
How do you rate it?
Really good. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's great, hey?
Oh, excuse me while I try not to vomit. I'd managed a lap time of 41 minutes. Well above the average for the day, but I thought I could do better. Especially if I could try to get past any other riders a little bit quicker and try to keep a clear trail in front of me. Now that we were on to Marijke's lap, it would be 3 laps before it was my turn again. This gave me some time to chill out and grab some food from the gun club canteen, which was serving up food made by volunteers of Tableland Cycle Sports. And it wasn't long before Marijke finished her lap to tag in a well-fueled Travis. Race preparations underway. Yeah! Go Travis!
Go Travis!
And then Travis tagged in Georgia again.
Right, don't have to.
You! How are we feeling after that one?
Starting to sting a bit. And I did it as a trail run, so it'll definitely be a PB.
Nice. And then it was time for my second lap. And this time it was me who got caught unprepared.
Jesus, Dave, on your bike! Dig deep.
I made the last minute decision to ditch the GoPro for my second lap in an effort to feel unburdened by unnecessary gear hanging off of me or the bike. And this ended up being a mistake. I had a considerably faster lap in the making, but right as I hit one of the final climbs, my cranks jammed. So I jumped off the bike and I found that the chain had wedged itself between the upper pulley wheel and the derailleur cage. This was pretty confusing, but I didn't have time to think, so I just put the chain back into place and kept riding. But now there was a terrible grinding noise coming from the rear of the bike, and on the last climb before Trail 15, there was an almighty clunk, and I looked down to see my chain hanging loose. I had no choice but to try and coast the remainder of the trail I was on, and then run the last 700 meters from the trailhead back to the pits. I was completely deflated, as if I didn't have to stop twice, ride with no chain, get flagged down by a marshal for no reason, and then jog for 700 meters on tired legs. I believe I would have made a sub 40-minute time, which had been my main goal for the race. In the end, my potential 38-minute time had been pushed to 46 minutes. Still a reasonable time, but extremely disappointing.
It's coming in. It's coming in on one wing.
I didn't have time to mope, however, and took my bike straight back to Stuart to see if he could help. His first response was, well, I don't think zip ties will fix that. And shortly afterwards, I heard him request a grinder. Over the next hour, Stu managed to fashion a sort of splint that he bolted to the cage by replacing the existing pulley wheel bolts with some longer ones and a healthy dose of Loctite. It was a pretty ingenious solution by any standard, let alone in the pits at a race. In the end though, it wasn't enough. My mechanical had cost us too much time, and once it was my turn again, there wasn't enough time left in the 8-hour limit to get another lap in. Georgia's third lap would be our final one.
Yeah.
This brought our total number of laps to 10, which put us in direct competition with one other mixed team who had also ridden 10 laps. But we had completed our 10 laps in just over 7 minutes faster than they had, which earned us first place in the mixed team category. I asked a friend to take a video of us accepting our prize, but I don't think he understood the assignment and we ended up with this photo instead, which is still fine. All in all, it was an amazing experience, and I think that whether you're a die-hard racer with your eyes on the prize, or a more casual rider looking for a fun day, the ELEV8XCM has something for everyone, and I'd encourage anyone of any ability to give it a go. If you'd have told me 3 years ago when I started mountain biking that I'd not only enter a race, but that I'd be part of a category-winning team, I'd have called you crazy. But I loved every moment.
Yeah, boy! Woo-hoo!
Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I know it's a little bit different to what we normally do around here, but I figured some of you long-time viewers might be interested to kind of see what I'm up to these days. And for the rest of you, usual service will resume shortly. Alright, until next time guys.